good. Like,
Ma'am, it was very time consuming, ma'am. It's hard to finish on time.
hmm, lengthy. Okay, okay. Hmm. How did you find about MCQs? MCQs
Medium, ma'am.
medium. Okay. So this exam is will give you a direction how to manage the time and what sort of questions and how to write that is MCQs, how to answer the MCQs and how to prepare for MCQs. These are all the things. This is a rehearsal. I can say it is a rehearsal for you. You learn as many aspects as possible from this particular exam so that you will improve dramatically for next session, next exam. Okay. Okay. Now I will start with the new topic. I think the respiratory system is over for you. Okay. Uh, now it's a brunch time now. I would like to give brunch for all of you. Okay. Today I'm going to start with the gastrointestinal tract. Very, very interesting for all of us, isn't it? Okay. Most of the things you know. Today's class, I think most of the things you know, it is refreshing yourself what you have learned previously from the GIT, general principles of GIT, we will discuss. Okay. Mm, In this particular 1 hour session, we would like to focus on the functions of GIT, the most important thing, and what are the parts contributing for the functions, histological aspects of it, innervation, that is little brain, that is enteric nervous system. Uh, we will see what are the contributions, what are the components of enteric nervous system as well as the autonomic nervous system, which are together play or execute their actions over the secretions and contractions of the smooth muscles of the GIT. And of course, regarding the regulation of GIT, few words, and we will talk in detail about the regulation of GI functions when we take up each component, like um, gastric juice secretion. What are the regulations? How it is regulated? Okay, hormonal regulation, reflex regulation, and neuronal regulation. How they are going to contribute for the normal secretion of gastric juice. In the similar way, pancreatic juice secretion. Also, a regulation of GIT. Of course, today overview we will try to discuss secretions of oral cavity. This is one of the what should I say? That is exam-oriented question for you. What are the functions of saliva, or what are the components and functions of saliva? Many a times it asked. Of course, you may think that it is not up to the level of MBBS students, functions of saliva, but it is the answer expected. Always questions will be the same. Functions of saliva will be the same for the question for the paramedical students and the BPT students, BS nursing students, as well as to the MBBS students, as well as the PG students, postgraduate students. But the answer has to be up to your standards. Okay, you cannot simply write the quiz like helps the simple taste sensation or lubrication or something like that. But we have to add some more aspects. What are the applied aspects and what are the explicit aspects? How it protects the oral cavity. Okay, and what are the radiation effects over it. So some of the extent this particular the topic just go beyond the level which reaches up to your MBBS first year. Okay, before going to the topic proper, GIT is considered as a conduit. What is the conduit? Conduit is a tube-like structure through which the
I'm little louder, ma'am.
Okay, okay. G8 is a conduit. G8 is it audible now?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
GIT considered as a conduit. Conduit is nothing but passageway. Okay, tube-like structure. Purpose. Okay, so GIT is considered as that is from the oral cavity to the anus. It acts as a musculoskeletal structure. It is a muscular structure, muscular tubular structure. Okay, and it is even described as tube in tube system. If you consider whole body of human being is a tube, there is another tube situated within it. And also because it is tube in tube, unless what are all the things what we eat enter into the blood circulation, they are considered as they are present in the external circulation. It may be difficult for you to understand, correlate now itself, but mm, you will understand it. Okay, exposed to external environment. Okay, that is oral cavity and anus. The two ends are going to be exposed to the external environment. Just you try to understand this is tube in tube system and what are all the things unless it is entered into the circulation can be considered as they are present in the. Now also it is not audible properly.
No, ma'am. Slow. It is slow, ma'am.
So, okay, I'll see. Just a minute.
Right.
Hope, is it clear now? No? Hello? Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am, it's better.
Yes,
Now.
ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, that's fine. Mm. Just a few words. That is what we eat determines what we are. Just it's a general statement. Now, coming to the functions of GIT, of course, digestion and absorption are the main functions of the GIT, of course, followed by excretion, fluid electrolyte balance, immunity, and intestinal bacterial flora. So, digestion and absorption. So, just I want to give some more aspect that is ingestion, digestion, absorption, and excretion. And these are the major functions of the GIT. All the parts of the GIT are contributing for it. And of course, whatever I told you that is GIT is exposed to the external environment. Whenever the external environment, whatever the organ system is exposed to the external environment, there is a possibility of it is exposed to the microorganisms present in the environment. So it is enriched with immunity. In the oral cavity, tonsillar, lymphatic nodules are there, tonsils are there, and not the secretions are there. You know very well that the local immunity is provided by secretions, and immunoglobulin A is one of the components which is present and which contributes for it. And as well as in the small intestine, you are going to see the various patches which are lymphatic nodules, which are going to help for it. So immunity is at the one. And fluid and electrolyte balance. Okay, intake of fluids, of course, through the GIT and absorption. How much of absorption is going to be occurred? It is almost 70-80% of absorption is going to be there, and very few little amount of water is going to be excreted through the pieces, and it is not 70 or 80, 99%. It is some 9 liters of water fluids in form of, that is 7 liters in the secretion form and 2 liters from the ingestion. If you take, that is around 2 liters of water you take in the day, and total of 99 liters per day, whereas only 200 ml of water is excreted in the feces, and rest of it is going to be reabsorbed. So it plays a major role in fluid and electrolyte balance. And of course, the electrocytes are well versed with the absorption of sodium, potassium, chloride, and the electrolytes, and they are going to helpful. And that's why whenever there is excessive vomiting in the area, immediately you think of electrolyte loss. Okay, hypokalemia is one of the immediate symptom you are going to observe in the case of severe vomiting and repeated diarrhea in such cases. So the fluid and electrolyte balance has to be maintained whenever there is excessive vomiting and the area is there, and that is done by oral rehydration solution. Oral rehydration solution. Okay. Coming to the another important aspect, that is intestinal bacterial flora. Intestinal bacteria. There are certain symbiotic bacteria there. There are certain detrimental bacteria also there in the intestines, and especially in the colon. Especially in the colon, you are going to see the bacterial flora. Soon after birth, colon is very much sterile, and after a few months, it is going to enrich with bacteria, and they are going to help in the formation of vitamins, in the formation of ear itself. The synthesis and absorption of vitamins, it will help, stimulates enzymes and motility and mucosification also, it will contribute. And of course, the side effects, one of the minimal side effects is the platters formation will be there. And this, I think all of you might have heard the word probiotics, intestinal flora, which is helping. Symbiotic bacteria are there, which are absolutely needed for the body. So soon after, if you take any powerful antibiotics, powerful antibiotics in the case of malaria, typhoid, or whatever it may be, a urinary tract infection, immediately followed by some lactobacillus tablets. Have you observed it? Immediately, that is, of course, B complex tablets and along with the lactobacillus tablets are going to be advised, because the antibiotics are not only kills the gram-negative or gram-positive bacteria which are aimed at, but also they are going to wash out the bacterial flora in the intestines also. That is not at all going to be helpful for the normal and proper functioning of the GIT. That is why we are going to use lactobacillus tablets after this to re-establish the normal one. Okay. 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 The parts of the GIT which are contributing for the functions of GIT. I know all of you know that this oral cavity, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, liver, pancreas, and large intestine. Of course, these are all the adjunct. These are all not comes under the main course, but it is additive organs. The same picture is here. And one more thing. It is a muscular organ, muscular tubular structure. GIT, when you want to generally overview, if you want to do, it's a muscular tubular structure extending from the oral cavity to that of the anus. Okay, it is, even though it is a tube, it has its own parts and its own different components will exhibit different functions, and the difference are this the different aspects, different parts of the GIT are demarcated by certain sphincters, circular accumulation of circular muscles. There is accumulation of circular muscle fibers are there, which are going to act as sphincters, and they are going to demarcate that particular part of the GIT. That is esophagus. If you take the esophagus is limited above by upper esophageal sphincter, limited below by lower esophageal sphincter. Lower esophageal sphincter is also called as cardiac sphincter. And from the cardiac sphincter to the pyloric sphincter, stomach is the portion. And from the pyloric sphincter to the ileocecal sphincter, it is intestine, embedded intestine. Of course, there are three parts of intestine: the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum are there. And from the ileocecal sphincter to the internal sphincter, and of course, external sphincter are there, which are going to help our in the duplication reflex. Okay, what is the function of the sphincters? One thing is they demarcate the particular component of the part of the GIT, and also it will facilitate the function to occur. That is especially in the case of pyloric sphincter. If you take whatever the food we are taking in this thing, they are directly entering into the within that is swallowing, mastication process occurs, swallowing occurs, and immediately it is moved through the lower sphincter sphincter, and it is going to enter into the stomach. But stomach has certain functions. What are the functions? The main function is mixing function and grinding function. It is going to the mechanically, it is going to decrease the size of the food material what you have eaten. So immediately it cannot enter into the duodenum, but it will prepare the bolus to chyme. Bolus is the one which is swallowed and which is going to be formed as a chyme in the stomach, and in a regulated fashion, very small quantity of bolus is going to be entered into the small intestine. You know very well the small intestine, the very function is absorption, digestion and absorption. Just if you are going on dumping whatever the amount of you eat in around the 500 ml or 800 ml or 1 liter of a component, how much of food you have eaten, if it is going to be kept immediately into the intestines, it cannot work. So at regular intervals, around 2.5 hours, it will take to empty the gastric stomach. That is called as gastric emptying. Gastric emptying is one important component or function of the stomach, which is going to now also you can't hear.
No, ma'am.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
ma'am.
Why?
Ma'am, your mic is
Not
working,
clear.
but your voice is very low.
My voice is not clear. Just
No,
Very
there is a
low,
lot of
ma'am.
background voice, ma'am. We cannot distinguish between words and sentences.
background noise is not at all there.
Ma'am, in the mic, essentially.
Okay. Just I will change in the settings. We will see. Is it clear? Is it clear? Hello. Is it audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Where are we? So the role of sphincters, I think they are acting as a valves and they are regulating the bolus or chyme to enter into different parts and allow it to providing certain amount of time so that it can execute its functions. For example, in the case of intestines, the digestion. Hello? What happened? Okay, that is the role of the sphincters. Okay, we'll see next component. I think all of you are aware of the histological aspects of the GIT. Is GIT is over in anatomy?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I think intermediate you might have heard. Okay, you might have learned about it. Of course, it is one of the If you see the cross section of the gut wall, if you see the cross section of the gut wall, you are going to see four layers basically. Four layers basically. The innermost component is the mucosa, followed by submucosa, muscularis externa, and serosa. Okay, mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa, and the serosa. Mucosa is comprises of once again the lining epithelium, lamina propria, and muscularis mucosa. Because this mucosa is having a prefix here, muscularis, we are here calling it as muscularis externa. Muscles present in the mucosa, muscles present in the external layer. Okay, so mucosa lining epithelium is extending different components of the GIT has different lining epitheliums. It is extending from the squamous epithelium to the columnar epithelium. If you see the intestines, the columnar epithelium will be there, and if you see any of the secretory columnar epithelium will be there, and even in the intestines, villi-like structures, microvilli will be there on the columnar epithelium. So these are all minute variations. The basic cross histological aspect is four layers, that is mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa, and serosa. Whereas this is not constant and very much same, but according to different modifiers. Okay. So mucosa comprises of epithelium, lamina propria, connective tissue, and muscularis mucosa. Very thin two layers of the smooth muscles you are going to observe, and these two smooth muscles are going to help in the movements of the mucosa. Try to understand this. It is going to help the movements as well as the fixations of that particular mucosal epithelium. Submucosa comprises of Meissner's plexus. This Meissner's plexus is also called as submucosal plexus. Submucosal plexus. Please, all of you make a note of it. Submucosa comprises of a neuronal plexus that is called Meissner's plexus. Of course, in duodenum, specialized glands, you are going to see Brunner's glands. Brunner's glands are nothing but mucus secreting glands. Why they are more? Why there should be more Brunner's glands should be there in the duodenum means immediately the acid chyme is entering into the duodenum. Okay, to cope up with the particular amount of acidity, the Brunner's glands, which are going to secrete the lubricating mucin, and they are going to be helpful in combating the excessive acidity immediately entering from the stomach. Of course, this submucosa comprises of Peyer's patches. Peyer's patches are nothing but immunological, that is lymph nodules present in the, especially in the ileum. Okay, submucosa basically neuronal plexus, immunological support are immunological glands, and Brunner's glands as well as it comprises of blood vessels and connective tissue. Okay, so Meissner's plexus is very much nearer to the double mucosa. So Meissner's plexus, the neurons which help in the contraction of the muscularis mucosa have these secretions from the epithelium as well as Brunner's glands. You try to correlate the location and function here. Meissner's plexus helps in the contractions, local contractions of the mucosa. Where it is absolutely required, mucosa has to undergo contractions, mucosal contractions. If you go to the intestines, intestine function is two functions, that is digestion and absorption. For absorption, it has to be the lateals or what is this called Meissner's plexus. Meissner's plexus basically regulates the contractions of the muscularis mucosa and also regulates the secretions from the lining epithelium as well as Brunner's glands. Hope it is clear for you. Now coming to the muscularis externa. Muscularis externa, of course, it is of there are two types of muscles you are going to observe. That is inner circular, outer longitudinal muscles, In between the sandwiched airbox plexus or mind plexus. Airbox plexus or mind plexus. So please, all of you, observe carefully here. This is the lining epithelium. So mucosa comprises of lining epithelium, lamina propria, and muscularis mucosa. Okay, lining epithelium and lamina propria and muscularis mucosa. Submucosa, it is comprises of connective tissue as well as nerve plexus, that is Meissner's plexus, as well as lymphatic nodules, and of course neuronal blood circulation and other lymphatic nodules will be there. And circular muscle fibers. Muscularis externa comprises of circular muscle fibers, inner circular muscle fiber, and outer longitudinal muscle fibers. In between these two, there will be that or myenteric plexus. Okay, most of the students do confuse between Meissner's and myenteric. Just I would like to give one clue for you to remember. Muscularis mucosa, it is present in the, yes, stands for Meissner's plexus in both the muscularis. So this is present, sorry, it is Meissner's plexus is located in submucosa, whereas myenteric plexus is present in between the circular smooth muscle and longitudinal smooth muscle. Of course, the outer fibrous coat is the serosa for attachment and protection and proper positioning and giving a shape and all those things. Okay. So this you should not forget. All of you, please make a drawing of this particular diagram and try to correlate what lamina propria. Also, it contains connective tissue. Submucosa contains what all the components, blood vessels, and everything will be there. Okay, like that. The same thing here. That is epithelium, basement membrane, lamina propria, muscularis mucosa. Here you are going to see some of the muscles which help in the movements of this particular epithelial cells and helps in the secretion. Okay, so the submucosa comprises of blood vessels, nerve cells, Meissner's plexus, and also lymphatic nodules. Lymphatics will be there, and circular muscle fibers will be there. Here, the muscularis propria or externa comprises of inner circular muscle fibers and outer longitudinal muscle fibers. And there is myenteric plexus in between. Myenteric plexus in between. And of course, this is lined by outmost layer is the mesothelium or the serosa, which is protective and also which is going to make the base for attachment to the topic outer aspect. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Innervation of the GIT. This is very, very, very important. There is every possibility of confusion. And you are going to, I would like to introduce one important aspect, that is enteric nervous system. Enteric nervous system is also called as little brain. And just now you have seen Meissner's plexus and Auerbach's plexus. These two together comprises of enteric nervous system. I told you that Meissner's plexus, as it is very much located near to the topic, mucosa. It is mainly participates in the that is submucosal plexus. Meissner's plexus is near to the topic mucosa. It helps in the local contractions as well as secretions from the epithelial cells as well as renal glands. Try to understand that what is the main function of submucosal glands or submucosal plexus is to secretion from the epithelium as well as local contractions, which aids in the absorption of the digested food material. Okay, coming to the myenteric plexus, it is present in between the two muscle layers, isn't it? Circular and longitudinal muscle layers. What does it do? What is the main function? Can anybody guess and tell me? What are the contractions you observe in the GIT for transmission of the food material?
Peristalsis.
Peristalsis, ma'am.
Peristalsis is mainly under the control of mind reflexes. Hope it is clear for you. Okay, you will not get confusion. ఎందుకంటే many a times enteric nervous system can be asked as a short notes question. What are the components? What are the functions? Till now we completed to that level. Okay.
Ma'am, what is the other name for enteric nervous system?
Other name,
Ma'am.
little brain.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Many a times we call it as gut feeling, isn't it? You might have heard it's my gut feeling. There is no logic behind it, but you feel that.
ఏందిరా ఇది ఎక్కిగా
Hello. Mute yourself. Okay, many a times we call it as gut feeling. There is no logic, but you believe it may happen like that or something like that. You will get. It is considered nowadays because this is appears to be the enteric nervous system is located to the GI wall, but it is enormously connected with the autonomic nervous system and the brain as such. Okay, so that is why it is the one which is giving you some clues or intuition or something like that. Okay, that is why the gut feeling. What is the scientific basis for the gut feeling is one of the enteric nervous system research. Just for you to remember and try to understand what is the importance of it. Okay, okay. Now I told you that is enteric nervous system. Enteric nervous system comprises of submucosal plexus and mind reflexes. What are the functions of each one? Just if you remember the location of it, easily you can comment on the functions of it. Coming to not only this enteric nervous system is absolutely independent, but it is under the influence of parasites. It can act on its own, but it can be modified on the sympathetic and parasympathetic. Okay. So just I would like to correlate with all the adolescents nowadays. They are acting as enteric nervous system. Little modification from the parents or teachers. Okay. You can be yourself, but there will be always supervision from parents and teachers. Okay. Parasympathetic. What is the you know very well that is parasympathetic outflow is craniosacral outflow. Craniosacral outflow. Cranius is giving rise to vagus, that is 10th cranial nerve. Almost of the GIT is supplied by the vagus. That is from the oral cavity to the mid 2/3 of the transverse colon is supplied by the vagus. Rest of the transverse colon, descending colon, that is supplied with the sacral pelvic nerves. It is supplying the S2, S2, S4 from the S2, S2, S3, S4, the pelvic nerves origin, and they are going to supply to the rest of the transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid, rectum, and what all the things that is you just now you have learned that is external, sphincter, all things are supplied by this particular parasympathetic nervous system. So parasympathetic innervation from craniosacral outflow, cranial outflow through the vagus, sacral outflow to the pelvic nerves, and division is from oral cavity to up to the mid 2/3 of the transverse colon is supplied by the vagus. Rest of it is supplied by the sacral complex. So parasympathetic now is not directly innervating any of the muscles or the glands of the GIT, but it is terminating on the enteric nervous system. Just now I told you that autonomic enteric nervous system has it is acting as its own entity. So it is autonomic in action, but it is regulated by the terminate parasympathetic and sympathetic system. It terminates on the enteric nervous system. Coming to the parasympathetic is always cholinergic and excitatory. Usually, I think all of you know that is how parasympathetic affect over the heart rate.
It slows down the heart rate.
It slows down the heart rate. Okay, but parasympathetic is always excitatory and cholinergic. It is, of course, cholinergic is through the neurotransmitter acting media. It is most of the time it is cholinergic and it is excitatory. It is excitatory. And what does it do means whenever the parasympathetic, either vagus or pelvic nerves are stimulated, it increases the motility of the GIT and it increases the secretions. Please, 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 all of you do remember that is parasympathetic is excitatory to the GIT. What does it mean? It increases the motility, it increases the secretions of the GIT. System view. Okay, regarding that particular sympathetic is missed out. Sympathetic is from the celiac plexus. It is going to come and it is central nervous system, preganglionic fibers. T8 to L2, T8 to L2. They are going to sympathetic ganglia, celiac ganglia. They are going to the postganglionic fibers. The postganglionic fibers. See, there is no direct innervation of the parasympathetic innervation over the smooth muscles or secretory glands, but it is acting through the enteric nervous system entirely. But whereas sympathetic ganglia, it is acting through the enteric nervous system, as well as sympathetic ganglia influences the blood vessels of the GIT. Blood vessels which are supplying to the GIT. You have to remember this particular thing. That's all. That is the main difference between these two. And of course, when coming to the functions of the sympathetic ganglia, it is always inhibitory. It is always inhibitory to the GIT. What does it mean to inhibitory mean? It is inhibits the movements of the GIT as well as it inhibits the secretions of the GIT. Secretions of the GIT. So if you just, I would like to give some analogy that is sympathetic stimulation, when the sympathetic stimulation is going to be activated or stimulated, when you are stressed, anxious, in such cases. Okay, what happens to your salivary secretions when you are tensed or anxious? It is going to be decreased, isn't it? Decreased, you feel dry more. Okay, so sympathetic stimulation, just with this analogy, you can understand clearly that the sympathetic stimulation is inhibitory to the GIT. Not only salivary, but all the secretions, gastric secretions, pancreatic secretions, and all other secretions are also going to be inhibited by the sympathetic nervous system. Okay. Okay. How it is going to inhibit means it is going to cause vasoconstriction of the blood vessels, which are supplying to the secretory cells, as nerve cells. So it is going to reduce the secretions from the nerve. Okay. So just once again, the autonomic nervous system is the one which is influencing on the enteric nervous system. So that is why enteric nervous system is called as intrinsic innervation of the GIT. Extrinsic innervation is by the parasympathetic and sympathetic division, and pelvic nerves as well as the sacral vagus nerve contribute for this parasympathetic. We will see. So vagal nuclei and spinal sacral spinal cord, which are pelvic nerves, they are going to innervate the enteric nervous system. They are going to influence the myenteric plexus or advanced plexus, submucosal. Of course, both the things, submucosal and masonal plexus. So what is going to happen when these are going to be influenced by this particular parasympathetic? They are going to act over the smooth muscle of GIT, secretory cells of the GIT. There are certain endocrine cells are there in the GIT throughout the wall. Hormones of the GIT, when we study that particular thing, we will understand. There are G cells which are going to secrete gastrin. There are I cells which are going to secrete cholecystokinin. There are S cells which are going to secrete secretin. Okay, these are all the different endocrine cells are present. They are embedded throughout the GIT. So this parasympathetic as well as intrinsic innervation both are going to influence the endocrine cells of the there is vasodilation of the blood vessels which are supplied to the endocrine cells, it is going to increase the secretion. There is vasoconstriction of the blood vessels which are supplying to the endocrine cells or secretory cells. That is going to decrease the secretion. Okay. Is it clear?
Both vasoconstriction and vasodilation by sympathetic ganglia only, ma'am.
When there is a decrease in sympathetic supply, sympathetic activation, vasodilation occurs. Whenever there is sympathetic stimulation, is there vasoconstriction occurs.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is the organization of the nerve supply of the GIT. Okay, both. So basically, two types of nerve supply is there. That is extrinsic innervation and intrinsic innervation. And there is an interplay between these two components, intrinsic and extrinsic. How these two are correlated and what are the final target organs for these two aspects is smooth muscle, secretory cells, endocrine cells, and blood. Please, all of you make a note of this particular diagram and learn it properly because enteric nervous system is a very, very important question for you. And most of the students will be getting confusion how to present it, how to demarcate it, what all the functions of it. That's why in the submucosa itself, I told you that this submucosal plexus or mucinous plexus are there. And in the muscularis propria or muscularis externa, myenteric plexus or iodax plexus. Based on the location, you can easily write that is myenteric plexus, they are going to participate in the peristalsis, whereas mucinous plexus, they are going to participate in local motility as well as secretions from the Brenner's glands and secretory mucous, secretory epithelial cells, and of course, intrinsic nervous system can act on its own, but it is under the regulation of this particular extrinsic innervation, that is parasympathetic and sympathetic innervation. So the mode of action of this particular nervous system of the GIT, there are reflex actions you are going to observe, and there are two types of reflex actions you are going to observe. That is short reflex and long reflex. You can easily correlate whatever is the short reflex means the reflex action completing in the intrinsic innervation, intrinsic neural reflexes. That is called as short reflex, which is reaching to the central nervous system, which is incorporating the that is extrinsic innervation with the parasympathetic. You are going to call it as long reflex. First of all, we will see here the stimulus. The stimulus change in what are all the stimuli can stimulate this nervous system means the change in chemical composition, osmolality of the bolus, etc. That is of GI content, chemical component and osmolality. And also mechanical stretch. Mechanical stretch. What is going to happen means these receptors of GI mucosa, osmoreceptors, chemoreceptors, mechanoreceptors are going to respond to this one. They are going to give rise to stimulate or send to the nerve plexus in the GI wall. That is nothing but intrinsic innervation. They are going to influence the effectors, smooth muscles or glands of the. What are the effectors here? Smooth muscles of the GI wall as well as glands of the GIT wall. So the response is change in GI motility and secretion. Change in the GI motility and secretion. If the reflex arc completes here itself, you are going to call it as short reflex. And if the same information through the afferent neurons are reaching to the central nervous system, and even the central nervous system is under the influence of emotion, hunger, sight, smell, taste, and thought of the food. Okay. Emotion, hunger, sight, smell, taste, and thought of the food. These are the certain features are going to influence the central nervous system. These are going to influence the efferent neurons. That is, once again, the effect of smooth muscles. That is, they are going to influence what are the efferent neurons? In the parasympathetic and sympathetic neurons. They are going to influence smooth muscles of the glands and smooth muscles of the GIT as well as glands of the GIT and response you are going to see. So, what is the mode of action of the GIT innervation of the GIT? Mode of action is through the short reflexes as well as through the long reflexes. And also, you can hear in this particular picture, you can also understand that is what is the role of central nervous system. Just you have learned what is the role of intrinsic innervation, what is the role of extrinsic innervation, and also now I am introducing what is the role of central higher centers such as emotion, hunger, sight, smell, thought, the food. How these are going to influence the secretions and motility of the GIT. Okay. So once again, I would like to just recap that what all the things you have learned. Intrinsic nervous system means the enteric nervous system of the GIT. This is also called as little brain, and this is, there are two components are there, two plexus are there. Submucosal plexus, this is also called as Meissner's plexus, and myenteric plexus or vas plexus. Submucosal plexus mainly influence the local motility of the mucosa and helps in the secretion of the mucus secretions or any of the secretions from the glands. Okay. And regarding the myenteric plexus or other plexus, they are going to help in the movement of the peristalsis movement. And this enteric nervous system is under the influence of the extrinsic nervous system, that is the parasympathetic and sympathetic components. Parasympathetic is craniosacral outflow. Sympathetic is E8 to L2 through the celiac plexus. The postganglionic fibers are going to innervate the intrinsic nervous system. Ultimately, they are going to exhibit their effects over the secretory cells and glandular cells as well as endocrine cells and the smooth muscles of the GIT, as well as another component, important component is blood vessels of the GIT. Not only this one, but the higher centers also influence this parasympathetic and sympathetic through emotions, hunger, sight, smell, and taste and thought of the food. Okay, and the mode of action of this particular nervous system is through short reflexes and long reflexes. Okay. Is it clear? Hello, somebody mute yourself. Is it clear? Enteric nervous system.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So one of the homework for you is prepare a short notes on the enteric nervous system in detail, because it is not only exam oriented, but for you to understand it, it is going to help a lot. Okay, next we will move on to the next aspect. Immune system of the GIT. Just now, immunity defense mechanism is one of the non-digestive functions of the GIT. That is, immunoglobulin A is going to be one of the important component in all secretions delivery, and that is gastric secretion as well as pancreatic secretion, intestinal secretions, all aspects, all secretions. One of the important component is immunoglobulin A, which is one of the which is going to provide local immunity. Lysozyme and lactoferrin, these are all things we are going to antimicrobial. Antimicrobial lysozyme is one of the important components in the saliva. Hydrochloric acid, this is the important component in the gastric juice and antimicrobial action. Not only antimicrobial action, it contributes for conversion that is provides the proper pH for the activation of the pepsin enzyme, pepsinogen enzyme to act, and it is one of the antimicrobial. B and T lymphocytes and macrophages and their secretions like cytokines, prostaglandins, and histamine. These are all the things will be monitoring the GIT and providing the protection. Submucosal lymphocytes. Just now we told you that there are some lymphocytes are present in the submucosa. That is also going to help for the offer for the some amount of immunity. PS patches, that is especially you are going to this particular specialized lymphatic structure you are going to see in the ileum, which is also contributing for the immune system. Because you know very well that the GIT is exposed to the external environment. So whatever you like, street food, whatever the food, you didn't bother, you didn't wash your hands. And not only you, but the rest of anybody in this world, they will try to eat the things, okay? So you are typically you are abusing your GIT, but so that to combat with that after all the external, that is microbial agents entering into the body, these are all the protective mechanisms present in the GIT. Regulation of GIT. Regulation of GIT. This is the overall picture I'm presenting here. At every aspect we will be once again. Okay, just now we have told that is intrinsic neural regulation is there, extrinsic neural regulation through the autonomic nervous system, and also from the higher centers such as hypothalamus, that is emotions, hunger, these all things, emotions, that is, and when you are depressed, HCl secretion is going to be decreased. When you are very much aggressive, anxiety is there, in such cases, HCl secretion is going to be increased like that. Reflex control, if you are going to observe. Just now we have seen that the shock reflexes and non-reflexes, and hormonal intrinsic GI hormones. There are intrinsic hormone system. As you see in the intrinsic neural regulation is there, similarly intrinsic GI hormones are there, which we are not going to see anywhere in the body. That is G cells, I cells, S cells, which are going to produce certain hormones which are very much specific to the this particular GIT, and extrinsic hormones. Extrinsic hormones are also, they are going to helpful. That is especially thyroid. If you see the thyroid is a trophic hormone for the this particular that is GIT. That is when thyroid levels are increased, the peristalsis is going to be increased. The diarrhea is one of the most common complaint they express in the case of hyperthyroidism, whereas the opposite in the case of hypothyroidism, myxedema patients always suffer because of the constipation. Myxedema patients always suffer because of the constipation because it is going to suppress the GI motility. Suppress the GI motility. This is one of the examples. Glucocorticoids are there, for example, the stress hormones. Whenever the glucocorticoids are increased, HCl secretion is going to be increased and peptic ulcers are going to be more. So these are the certain extrinsic hormones which are going to influence the GIT function. Okay. So basic functions, ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation. Basic functions are achieved by two modalities of action, that is secretion and motility. These four functions are achieved by these four functions, ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, are achieved by two modalities, secretion and motility. Just now we have that is intrinsic nervous system, higher centers, those are all aimed at controlling secretions of the secretory cells, glandular cells, and endocrine cells, and smooth muscles, of course, and blood vessels. Okay, this almost completes the general aspect of it, and from here onwards, we will go with the salivary secretions. Of course, time is up. Just all of you go through this particular clinical phase. We will end the class here. In the next class, we will discuss about the salivary secretions. Okay, clinical phase. What is the clinical phase? A 60-year-old female suffering from oral cancer. For this oral cancer, the person received radiation therapy in the area of the salivary glands. Okay, what effects would have on the starch digestion and on the teeth? Can anybody tell what happens if radiation therapy is given to the salivary glands? Is salivary gland secretion increases or decreases? First of all, you tell me. Just give
Decreases.
decreases. Atylism. Atylism. Tyalin is one of the salivary amylase, isn't it? The decreased salivary secretions are called as atylism. Okay. What is going to happen if the atylism is there? Do you think it is going to have major influence over the starch digestion? The defective starch digestion you are going to observe in the individual.
Yes, ma'am. Because 60% is digested in the
Ma'am.
mouth itself.
Ma'am, 30% is in mouth.
30% is digested.
60, 30, 40%. Okay. Do you think any other starch digesting enzymes are there in the rest of the GIT?
Pancreas amylase.
Absent.
Okay. If nothing is digested in the mouth with the, because there is no tyalin here, what is going to happen? Is it going to be digested by the pancreas or not? Pancreatic enzyme or not?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
Why? Why no? God has given several backups for us. If one thing is failed, another thing will pick up the responsibility. So there is no effect of starch digestion at all. If atylism is there is no effect of starch digestion. If it is there, very, very minimal effect. Very, very minimal effect. Okay, you can consider it as no effect. Okay, what is the effect over the teeth? First of all, you tell me how would salivary secretions helpful for the teeth function?
Lysozyme prevents bacterial infection.
Very good. Okay, there is every possibility of development of the bacteria in the teeth. Okay, that is one thing. Any other thing? What is the pH of the saliva?
6.8.
6.827.
Acidic or basic? Mildly acidic.
Slightly acidic.
It is going to prevent once again the development of the microorganisms in the oral cavity. If it is not there, there is every possibility of caries too. This is how we have to analyze a clinical case. First of all, we have understood that the 60-year-old female suffering from oral cancer, she received radiation therapy and the area of salivary glands. So with this, you can conclude that there is a possibility of decreasing salivary secretions. And if you analyze what all the functions, okay, two aspects he has given, two aspects he asked. What is the effect of atylism over the starch digestion and what is the effect over the teeth? Okay, so we have discussed that the starch digestion is going to be not much affected or almost nothing affected, and on the teeth there is every possibility of it is going to undergo what is that caries teeth. Okay, a formation is okay. In the next class we will discuss about the salivary secretion as well as deglutition. Today's homework is
Short notes on ENS in detail.
ENS, enteric nervous system. Okay, please go through well and try to understand, try to conceptualize how it is going to help, what are the components of it, because in the next coming classes at every level, if the enteric nervous system is failed, what are the applied aspects we are going to, echinacea cardia, Hodgkin's disease, these are all things you can understand very well if you are going to read this particular noun itself. Okay. Okay. With this, I'm stopping here now.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.